And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of Next Round Sports. This is Chris Porter here with Caleb Culver and Jeff Amos. How you doing tonight, gentlemen?
Hey.
Let's go Wolves. Let's go Wolves.
Yes, we know how excited you are about your Timberwolves. We will get into that here in the first segment. Uh, we're getting the first segment. NBA is right underway. We've got the Mavericks in Oklahoma City starting their first game tonight. So we'll be talking about that series coming up. We'll talk about the previous series as well with the way they were able to take out the Clippers in 6 games. But we'll again start right off the bat with the Minnesota Timberwolves going up 2-0 in their series with the reigning champion Denver Nuggets and winning both of these games in Denver and very convincingly.
This is their first series win since like the early 2000s, right, Jeff? For the Timberwolves?
Well, when they beat the Suns, that was the first time they won a playoff series since 2004.
And the first ever sweep in Minnesota history of all Minnesota teams.
Yes, that is also correct.
Minnesota teams.
Yeah, because that is the first, because the series that they won against the Nuggets in 2004, that was a gentleman's sweep of 4-1. But what's bizarre about this series to me is that I thought it'd be a strong competitive series, but
I thought this would be a finals preview.
Minnesota's kicked their ass twice, and Denver has no answer for Anthony Edwards. They have no answer for Karl Anthony Towns, and all Denver has is Jokic sometimes. And if he doesn't show up, they have no one else. I mean, look at Jamal Murray last night.
I feel like Jamal is starting to come out of his funk because he had 2 straight games with 7 turnovers and averaging about 50 points, which is low for Joker. And he still had 4 turnovers in his past game.
Night.
He also had 16 rebounds to go with it. He never had another double-double before.
I watched a lot of the second half
but
last night.
The way Minnesota can play Jokic. But the way they're able to play Jokic straight up with Rudy Gobert or Karl Anthony Towns, that's what we talked about how they should be playing Joker. You just put one guy on him and take your bets.
Gobert wasn't even there last night.
I know
he was. He was doing father stuff, but he was there the first game. But I'm saying, like, they're able to put it on there, and they're allowing their defenders to stick to those wing guys that usually have these wide open threes, and they're not there anymore. And they're doing a great job of harassing Murray, even just down the court and being physical with him, but just taking his shots away. Now, I think you've also had a great selection of refs for this series for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Not that they've given the Timberwolves anything or wins or anything like that, but as I'm saying, as a defensive team that the Minnesota is, you want a team that's going to, of refs that's going to kind of let you go. Get a little physical every now and then. And that's great for y'all. And I think the Nuggets should take advantage of it, but they're not.
Well, I just, again, I think, I don't know exactly what happened to Jamal Murray, but he's not existent anymore. And so
he was on a milk carton last night.
Exactly.
He was gone.
3 of 18. The only time he showed up in the game when he was a jackass and threw a heat pack on the court in frustration. Yeah. He should be suspended for that.
He should have probably been suspended at least a game. I think the fact that nobody got hurt, they just said, okay, we'll fine you and call it done. Plus, they want to keep this series possibly as alive as they can.
Aaron Gordon was the only one who actually looked like he was playing with any heart or tenacity.
Last night, yes.
That's all. He was the only one who seemed like he actually wanted to try and win that game. Because everyone else just seemed like, oh, we're beat. We just kind of just laid down and took it. Just took that whooping out behind the woodshed. And there just doesn't seem to be any fight. I mean, at least when the Mavericks got knocked down, by in that game 4 where they were down by 30, they put some fight. They actually fought all the way back into where they led by 2. They ended up losing the game, but they actually fought themselves back. Yeah. And Denver's not showing any fight. They're just not showing any kind of resolve, any kind of, testicle fortitude to come back into this series. I mean, you got your butt handed to you at home. badly. So
Yeah.
we need to see how they come out in game 3. That's going to be the telling sign. If they go down, if they get whooped again, they're going to get swept easily. It's just going to happen.
It becomes a very high probability at that point.
Well, I think we're going to figure out probably first half through that game is whether or not the Nuggets have any resolve. But they're going to be on the road now. And to me, there's no indication that Ant is going to be stopped at all.
The only thing I'd be worried about Ant is he seems to be getting banged up by small issues now. Like the tangle he got with Jokic, where Jokic kind of threw his arm up and they went back and called that a foul on Ant because he grabbed his arm, and then Ant was over there for a couple minutes with his shoulder.
Oh, he's just
and he had an ankle or knee injury before that, kind of acting up. So, I mean, that's my only concern with Ant. I don't think it's going to be a huge problem by any means, but he's getting a little nicked up every now and then.
But regardless, there needs to be someone on Denver other than Jokic that steps up because, Aaron Gordon was able to.
Well, like I said, they're playing tight on the role players because they're the post players for Minnesota are allowing them to play straight up against Jokic.
Yeah,
these open shots are not there.
But the problem, though,
these players aren't used to creating their own shot.
But the problem though is we called Jamal Murray a superstar after Denver won the.
We didn't. The Talking Heads did. We did.
Talking Heads did. We didn't.
We said he was a good player, but we didn't say superstar.
But the thing is, other people call him a superstar, and he's been exposed this series big time. He is strictly just a player that he may show up, he may not, but he's not a consistent guy.
Oh, don't give credit to your Minnesota Timberwolves defense there, buddy.
Well, sure.
They're playing him hard as they should, because they know he's one of the few that can actually possibly get his own shot off instead of waiting for an open shot from Joker. They're playing him great.
Well, Denver, what they need to do is on the plane out to Minnesota is they need to watch game 3 and 4 of that Dallas Stars Vegas Golden Knights series if they want to try and get back in and see how a team can go down 2-0 at home and battle their way back into a series. That's what they should do. That's what I would recommend.
Oh, is that what it's not one for the Gipper movie?
Yes. Hey, it's worth a shot. I mean, what you've got to get out there and and we all thought the Stars were done.
Well, we thought they had a good chance.
I'd say the majority of people thought the Stars were done. They're like, there's no way they're going to come back and win this.
They're majority, sorry.
Yeah. Big majority. I think we all still believed. We'll have to go back and watch check our answers and see where we were. But I'm pretty sure we all still had some belief they could still turn it around and pull it out because Andre played better on the road. And they did. They showed how you can do it. So, I mean, Denver's they need to dig deep right now. They got
to take a good hard look in that mirror and figure out who they are and how they can possibly, like you said, take a shovel and a hoe to work tomorrow and just dig your way out of that hole.
That's what you got to do now. That's the situation you're in. You can't help it. You can't help the games that are already gone. Can't help you got whipped. Use it as motivation, or lay down, take the whipping, and just go ahead and go home. There was a line I heard the other day that maybe Jokic just had enough. With the parade and everything last year, wanted to get back to his horses quicker. Maybe he just doesn't want another parade. Maybe he just doesn't want to deal with that nonsense. Like, I've got it. I got my ring.
He seems kind of frustrated himself out there. When he's running
especially
around.
He's got with his horses back home. That's what it is.
Maybe.
Also, just a FYI, Rudy Gobert, for all those people that say he's overrated, just won his 4th defensive player of the year.
He tied the record for
tonight, and he'll be back for game 3. And
number 4.
And Denver, as shitty as they were on Monday night, they still won the rebound battle. I don't anticipate that happening again. That they play as horrible as they did on Monday night. But what's going to be interesting about this series too is that they don't play till Friday again.
Yeah,
That's
that is a
long
weird
time.
timeline. And not to mention what happened to their coach at the end of the first series against the Suns, the Minnesota Timberwolves coach, where he got taken out
Well,
and
yeah,
had knee surgery.
that's kind of a good thing for Chris Finch, right? Is he has more recovery for his ruptured kneecap that happened in that Denver series.
I guess so.
Oh, shut
But
up.
yeah. Well, I got a question for you about your Gobert and your reward.
Yes.
And I can't really think of anybody else who necessarily deserves it. But as we know, defense has gone down in the NBA. Does it still hold the same honor to you guys, Defensive Player of the Year, as it did, say, even back when Kobe and Shaq were playing?
Well,
I wanted to go back to the Michael Jordan era because that was definitely defense and nerve.
To me, what I thought about last night after this game, everyone has been saying how defense is irrelevant, defense doesn't matter anymore. Look at the Wolves these past 2 games. They've been the most dominant team in the playoffs thus far out of any team. They haven't lost a game yet, and it's because of the defensive side of the ball. And it's about damn time that defense came back in some sort of way. And it's fantastic that it's the Wolves. Fantastic.
You're lucky it's the Wolves.
Yeah. I know. Yes.
All right. Well, that's enough Wolves talk for me. Now on to the team that we all other care about. The Mavericks starting their series against Oklahoma City here tonight. That game is actually currently underway. I think this is a very, very good matchup here for the Mavericks. We've talked about that. As long as they can make it past the Clippers, that this seemed like a very right matchup. You didn't want to go up against Denver early on, but Minnesota's showing, hey, we were okay with going up against Denver. But to me, this was a good matchup. It was kind of lopsided through the year. I mean, with the games with Oklahoma City, but 2 of those games, Kyrie wasn't playing. You had Lucas sitting out 1 because of the knee injury, and the one game that the Mavericks had everyone, all hands on staff were there. They won by 35. So I don't know what we're going to see. We're going to see, I believe, a good series. I think the Mavericks are going to win this in 6. That'll be my call now. Yep, I'm calling it in 6.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. I'm kind of the same vein. I think they should win this series. That being said, I feel like they're going to do it in spite of Kidd, which we'll get into later. But
I don't know if it's in spite of. I don't know why it'd be in spite of Kidd.
But yeah, like I said, this is definitely the better matchup that you wanted out of the Mavericks compared to if you were going to take the Nuggets or the Thunder. You want the Thunder mainly because they're younger.
Exactly, and those young
advantage of some of that experience against this team, I feel like.
And these young teams, when they get their first time in the playoffs, statistics show they're not going to win it all. They got to take their lumps. They got to learn how to win. And yes, they were able to beat New Orleans, but New Orleans is also a very, very young team that's also very, very injured.
Yes. Yeah, I was about to say they may have swept their first series, but yeah, that's not necessarily anything to write home about for Oklahoma. It took longer than the Mavericks probably should have with the Clippers, but they did overcome that adversity in that first series they faced.
I don't think that would have happened. It probably would have gone 5 if it wouldn't have been for ungodly shooting in Game 4. Like that Game 4 shooting just could not be held up again.
It's possible. On the rest,
there was no reason Paul George would shoot the same way he shot the rest of the series they did Game 4. Well, Game 1 you got your butt whooped. That I'm not.
That's what I said. The rust versus rest argument we had before is like maybe if you had played and you don't have the rust, and you take Game 1 maybe
possibly. But that was a butt whooping. That was just a butt whooping all around. Game 4 was just ungodly shooting. Like there was just they were.
That's one that they're not going to be able to repeat.
You couldn't repeat that shooting. So I knew at that point it was, hey, I'm not worried. It doesn't matter that he shot like this. He's not going to do that again the rest of the series. If he does, I'll eat my hat. But he obviously did. They were able to win the next 2 games and knock him out.
Yeah. Now, the one concern I do have for the series with Oklahoma, and I'm glad it was such a long rest off between Game 6 and Game 1 here, is Luka's knee, because it was obviously bothering him in that Game 6. It messed with his shot and messed with his ability to run down the court some. So I mean, I'm thinking that knee is going to tell the tale of the series for the Mavericks.
We shall see how that goes with that. What I think is that why the Mavs have a good shot is Oklahoma City's not as big as the Clippers were.
Right.
Now Holmgren's big, but Holmgren is also paper big. Like he needs to eat a sandwich or three. He's really skinny, and having Lively and Gafford able to bang with him down low. I mean, the Clippers were able to bang with us down there. They had big guys that could sit there and muscle up down there. They really got Gafford loose, feeling uncomfortable, which really didn't help him in the whole series. But I think that really, really helps here in this series because Oklahoma City is a completely different team. They want to move the ball around. They're not down there to get big and bang around down there with you. Because Holmgren's that pop out like Dirk, pop out, shoot a three. He's not going to go down there and grab a whole bunch of rebounds and muscle around for it. He got an alley pass a little while ago, but he wasn't doing it in front of people. He had to make the move to get around. That's just not the game that he plays. So I think that's an area that you can really, take advantage of this team. Oklahoma City is one of the worst rebounding teams in the league. And Dallas is one of the better rebounding teams. I cannot believe I'm saying that, but Dallas is one of the better rebounding teams.
Well, ever since the deadline,
want to go rebound.
And to me, in this series, the X factor is Chet Holmgren, as you said, Chris. I mean, this series comes down to how Chet Holmgren deals with the bigs of Lively and Gafford. This series, in my mind, I don't know for sure who's going to win, but this is at the very least going 6 or 7 games. Whoever wins, this is going to be a rough series. And again, can Chet Holmgren physically keep up with these two bigs? I don't know if he can. This team is so inexperienced. Can Jalen Williams be a household name in the NBA after this series? I don't know.
He was a lottery pick.
He
was a lottery pick. So
if I'm Dallas, what I do is I let Shai get, 35, 40, whatever the hell he's going to get.
Shai's going to get his. Shai is going to get
35, 40. He's not getting that much.
He might. But if that means Chet Holmgren's getting 10 and getting his ass kicked, if that means Jalen Williams doesn't show up, I'm okay with it.
Jalen Williams is getting 5 and Chet's getting 9. I don't care how much Shai's getting. It doesn't matter to me at that point.
Yes.
As long as he's not putting up 60, then I'm okay.
Don't forget about him.
Right.
Well, that's what we're talking about. Shai Gilgeous.
I heard Williams is all I've heard is Williams, and
we said Shai. Shai could get his 40.
Oh, Shai, my bad then. Sorry.
Yeah. No, what I said was if Williams get 8, let Williams get 8, let Holmgren get 9. I don't care what Shai gets. As long as he's not putting up 65 when they're putting that down, then I'm okay. At that point, stop the man. Okay? But if he gets 35, 40, I don't care as long as you keep those other guys down. You keep them down in the single digits, low doubles, no more than 15. Shai can get whatever you want. You've got those guys held down. You can win that. Because I don't know who they're going to have.
For sure.
They don't really have anyone to guard Luka and Kyrie.
Yeah,
they don't. That's the thing. This is a very, very good matchup. Yeah. Do they have a better record? Absolutely. I'm not arguing that. They won the games they needed to win. They won the games against us that they needed to win when we were underhanded. Hey, that very last game of the season that we played against them was a complete blowout, but we also set everybody.
Yeah, so, right. That's the thing. It didn't matter. I mean,
it didn't matter at that point. So, I mean, that is what it is. I just really think this is a good matchup. and especially for that reason that you have a young team in Oklahoma City that needs to learn how to win before you can actually say, yeah, they can go all the way. They can be unstoppable. They don't really know yet how it goes in the playoffs. The playoffs are completely different than the regular season. Yeah, you won the regular season. Congratulations. That's a great job. That's a good step for your organization and moving forward. But you come in against a more experienced Dallas team, and still, even with Shea out there, I still think Dallas has two of the top three, if not the top two best players on the court.
Yeah, and don't discount Jones been playing pretty dang good defense on those guards he's been going up against between Paul George and Harden. I don't know who's guarding tonight at the moment, but I'll be interested to see that for sure. But don't discount some of that defense.
You're talking about Donald Jones Jr., right?
Yes.
Jr.? Yes, and the rebounding he's been doing from the guard position. He's been crashing the boards like crazy.
Yeah.
I have not seen a Dallas guard, crash the boards as hard as he has ever. It's always been you have a big that would come down there, especially when Tyson Chandler came in 2011 and actually had somebody down low who would actually rebound the ball. But I've never seen a guard for the Mavericks attack the basket and try and get rebounds. And he goes after it every single time. He just blocked a shot just a little while ago. I like the guy. I'm very happy with Donald Jones Jr. I really, really, truly am. He can stay on the team as long as he wants.
I'm not disagreeing with.
Do we need one of the guards to step up tonight? I mean, it would be nice if they did, but is it do y'all think it's a requirement that, say, like Green or Exum maybe shows up tonight? And
well, Exum needs to actually show up in the entire playoffs because he's done jack crap after I defended him all season long. He played well.
I'm ready for a Dante Exum show.
Like shit. He's looked like shit.
I mean, I think this is a team he could shine against.
He's in right now. He needs to. The Mavericks are going to need somebody else to step up because they lost Maxi Kleber.
Yeah.
At least till possibly the Western Conference Finals, if not the NBA Finals, with his injury. He will not be available in this series, and that's someone where everyone, we all got all over Game 4 if Kleber was in there instead of the bigs when they lost, and should that really have happened? But Kleber hit some big threes there in Game 6. Hit 5 big threes. That was needed before he went out. His defense was really, really good those last 2 games against the Clippers, because he was able to shut a few guys down. I think that's going to be sorely missed here in this series. So you're going to need somebody to step up and fill at least that defensive void that is left with Kleber not being there, whether it's Exum, whether it's Green, whether it's Dwight Powell finally doing something besides just occupying a space on the bench.
Or maybe I'll just.
He hasn't had the playing time necessarily.
Can I just maybe is it so? Am I asking too much for like Tim Hardaway to play like 10 good minutes?
Yeah, he could play 10 good minutes, but he's going to take 14 shots and just jack them up all over the place. That's all he needs to do is not do that. And he's not tall enough to get down there and muscle around with them and everything. So really, to me, Tim Hardaway can just go sit on the bench next to Dwight Powell.
I completely agree with that.
So I would prefer Green or Exum to actually come in and make an impact. That's who I need to really step up. And I need Gafford to do what he just did and block a shot and actually play like he did during the season when I was here, and not timid and too big for the moment against the Clippers in that first round. I need him to be calmed down, to actually settle down, so that him and Lively, which Lively played fantastic during the Clippers series. I think Lively was anyone who's not talking about his contributions is blind, because he really held down the middle and did a great job for being a rookie. I think he played extremely well. The moment was not too big for him, and it continued good play out of him, have better play out of Gafford, and have some more contributions from either Green, which we know Green can play defense. We know that. He just needs to play. We need him to do that in more quality minutes. And then we need Dante Exum to actually, make an appearance and get off the missing persons report.
Seriously. Off the Jamal Murray report.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't want to be hanging out in the milk cart with Jamal Murray. That's not a fun place to be. Well, There's our Western Conference here.
Do we want to talk about the kid contract though before we move away from the Mavericks?
Absolutely.
Because
Let's
I have
go
serious
ahead.
beef with this contract.
You've just been gnawing at the bit to get to this topic.
You're mad.
Since we started, this is just you've got your panties all wrinkled up about it. Your
it's like shoved so far up my butt right
now.
now.
You are so twisted right now about this.
It's like I'm wearing a thong.
Go for it.
But man, I mean, I don't understand why he gets this contract. I mean, yeah, they win a series, everyone's happy. This is a series several pundits predicted you would win. So you did your job. Congratulations. You went from almost being fired to making the playoffs, then get your contract extension. I mean, I don't understand why they gave him this extension at all. I mean, like you said, we got mad at Maxi Cleburne being in there with the bigs. That's Kid's fault. That's Kid's job to make that lineup better. He should be putting in the correct people at the correct time, but he's not. He's not the X's and O tactician that we're used to with Rick Carlisle either. So I don't necessarily understand why he got this contract.
Because I
understand the Lakers were sniffing around, but I mean, you've got to understand that's a dumpster fire. And if you want to go to the dumpster fire, kid, you go to it.
Honestly, my opinion, I don't think it was Lakers. I think maybe the Lakers sniffing around might have helped push it faster. Like they may would have done it late after.
I think it expedited.
I think they would have done it. I think they would have extended him if they beat the Thunder. I think they would have absolutely extended him.
If they beat the Thunder, I could see. Okay,
yeah,
maybe he's enough of a players coach to get
with
this
the report
done,
of the Lakers coming out, sniffing around. I think that might have, expedited it a little bit. But also, I think it's because how he gets along with Kyrie Irving and what the wanting to keep him here and keep him happy.
That's what I'm saying. He's the players coach.
Exactly, and so you
really
kind of
he's killed careers accordingly up in other places he's been, like New York and Milwaukee.
True, exactly.
But I mean, when he's a players coach and he's your guy like Luka and Kyrie is, I mean, I feel like they're running the team, which fine for all well-being, but that's his strength. That's Kid's strength, is being a players coach and getting along.
That's what he got the extension for, because when Kyrie Irving got traded here, we all talked about this on this podcast. I think it was before we actually officially got started, but we all talked about how dumb that trade was and why didn't you try to go get Kevin Durant? I know I said it. I was like, you had Kevin Durant and you had the chance to go get him and you didn't even try. You went and got Kyrie Irving, who has been a cancer everywhere that he's been. And you know what? I was proven wrong, because they did everything. I don't know if everything they did, how it clicked, but Kyrie is bought in. And we even said, if you got Kyrie to buy in, this trade will look great.
Well, I also think it's not just
they got him to buy in.
It's also the organization as a whole. Like you said, what they did with his Ramadan, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
What they did for him and having that chef there compared to what he had with the Nets and shit.
Yeah,
I think this is an organizational level that the Mavericks are just better at. And I don't understand why free agents out there don't understand that too. We've always had a history of not being able to get free agents because they don't want to come to Dallas for whatever reason.
And that's very true, but I think there's a big changing of the guard in that, especially with Cuban, even though he is still in charge of basketball operations with the sell of the team.
Yeah.
That there's a new ownership coming in. They're going to have, even though he has control of the team, they still have the final say and the final input now as the majority owners. And with them showing, okay, look what Kid, keeping Kid here, Kyrie's been able to revive it, especially they're able to make a deep push into the playoffs. I think that's going to help show some people, hey, look, we're looking out for our players. Look what we've done here. We've revitalized Kyrie Irving's career. And by keeping Kid there is going to help extenuate that, which helps make them a more desirable location. That's
fine too. But I mean, I'd be much more comfortable if they had signed this after they beat Oklahoma City.
No,
if they don't beat Oklahoma City, to me, this is going to look flat and you're going to be going, oh shit, next year.
Well, then you're eating crow, and if you do nothing after that, then you fire him next year, and you just have to eat the money. Which I don't feel bad about billionaires throwing away a couple $1 million. I mean, if that's what they do, that's what they do. It's not good. It's not like they got the salary cap on the coaches they have to worry about. It is what it is, you know.
Also, too, you can spin this to I'm not saying it's accurate, but you can spin this into Jason Kidd somehow making Luka, not Luka, but Kyrie a sane teammate and not being an idiot.
Well, and Luka playing defense, I guess.
It honestly, if it weren't for prior history, you could make an argument that Kyrie has become the leader of this Mavericks team.
No, Kyrie is absolutely the leader.
He's one of the leaders for sure.
He's the leader. Luka doesn't want to be the leader. Luka just wants to be the alpha dog. He doesn't want to be the leader.
Right.
Kyrie's the guy that, and I've heard this conversation multiple times. To get Kyrie happy, he doesn't have to be the number one scoring officer, the number one guy. He just wants to be the leader. He wants to be the big brother. He wants to be the guy everybody comes to. And everywhere else, Boston didn't let him do it. The Nets wouldn't let him do it. Well, Dallas let him do it. Dallas said, you can be the leader. You can be you're not the number one option, but you're the leader. You're the guy that everybody can go to. But this is Luka's team, but you're the leader of Luka's team.
Right.
Because he's the number one option. And I think he bought into that. That was what he wanted. He wanted to be respected. He wanted to be that leader. He wanted to be the one everyone goes to and looks up to. And they gave him that.
That makes sense with his personality.
I'm here. Exactly. I mean, and that's okay. If you're the narcissist that needs that, then by all means, okay. Hey, you're getting whatever they did. They're getting the most out of Kyrie Irving.
The thing is,
it's the best he's looked in almost his entire career.
Motivated Kyrie we're seeing right
now. And the difference is Dallas is, unlike these other teams, have been willing to accommodate the narcissism. The other teams have not. And the willingness to accommodate the narcissism has allowed the Mavericks to be better. As crazy as that is.
Not wrong.
And also, too, I mean, I would say that this team, I know how good he's been playing in New York, but this team, I think, is better than that team with Jalen Brunson that made the conference finals 2 years ago. I don't care if this team.
I think so too.
I don't care if this team loses in the series against Oklahoma City. Yeah,
they're better.
They're a lot better defense team. They're a lot better defense team. They're a lot better post game team or big team than what they were. They're deeper in that aspect. But yeah, Brunson's looking good.
Brunson was never going to be the number 2, though. That's the key.
Mm-hmm.
Brunson was always going to be the number 1 guy, and he was going to be Robin to Luka, and Luka would have always saw it as Brunson as Robin. Luka doesn't think of Kyrie as Robin. Luka thinks of Kyrie as a peer at the same level.
So he's Superman while Luka's Batman type of thing. That's what you're trying to say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But Luka is Batman, Jalen was Robin, and he was always going to be Robin in Dallas.
I can't argue that. So anyway, since we go ahead and bring up Jalen Brunson, the Knicks able to get a 1-0 lead over Indianapolis, Indiana. And I mean, is this kind of a revenge tour for him against his old coach?
Oh, for sure it is. I
think he might be taking this personally.
100%. Rick Carlisle took a
if you like offense, I think this is going to be the series to watch. Because Indiana had a historic run early on this year offensively. New York can score lights out. Now, they did lose their center to a knee injury. So we're going to see how that affects them defensively. New York did, that is, Robinson. But like I said, this is Brunson's team. This is his offensive game. I think he's averaged 40 points for most of the playoffs. It's crazy what he's doing.
Yeah.
No, it truly is.
I think the most the key factor for the Knicks' success right now is the way Josh Hart has stepped up. I mean, not only from a play perspective, but from leadership perspective as well. I mean, he's the mouth of this team. He has more of a voice on this team than Jalen Brunson does. Josh Hart's averaging a double-double right now. He almost did during the regular season, but now he's doing it in 2010 fashion as opposed to 10 and 10 fashion like he was doing. Dante DiVincenzo has stepped up as well. And the ironic thing is all three of those dudes went to Villanova, so they know each other quite well. So,
that's true. I forgot about that. That's just a good point, though.
So they've all taken that extra step up after Julius Randle went down. But with that being said, though, this series is going to be so much fun. And then you get the whole Reggie Miller, Spike Lee rivalry coming back into play again, too.
Yeah, I think Reggie Miller was talking about on the Denver broadcast last night.
Exactly. So
the question, too, I might have is New York Knicks don't necessarily have a deep rotation, though.
No.
Well,
so
neither do the Pacers.
They're out a little bit, you think? But
I don't think the Pacers have. Well, the Pacers don't have a deep rotation either. I think what got the Pacers.
They've got at least a 10-guy rotation. Knicks are down to about like a 7-guy. They like to run rotation.
Well,
give or take.
Well, regardless of rotation, the key last night was Halliburton being shut down. And what was so impressive to me is Pacers got 117 points, so you could say, oh, how could you play that good of a defense? But Tyrese Halliburton only got 6 shots last night. That's a guy that should be getting, in at least the playoff games, 25 points, not just 6 points, and certainly not just 6 shots. Now, Miles Turner stepped up, but he only got a couple rebounds too. So the key to me was the Knicks shutting down Halliburton last night. That's why they won the game.
Yeah, I mean, he's only about 4 years in the league, so I think this is his first time in the playoffs, maybe second.
I mean, I don't take a shot.
I mean, he's still trying to figure out playoff him.
Well, sure. But I'm just saying why the Knicks won the game last night. I think that's the main part of it.
Yeah, it's a good point. Like I say, he averages 19 versus New York in the regular season, and he came up with less than 10, 8, 6 points.
Yeah, came up with 6 last night. So.
Yeah, this is the only game in the East I have any interest whatsoever in, because the other series, Boston-Cleveland, kicked off tonight, and Boston destroyed Cleveland 1-0. So that's all I'm going to say.
They
about
did
that.
what they should.
I'm not even worried about
gentleman's sweep. At best, we get a gentleman's sweep because at best, but that is
exactly.
Well, matter.
Before we wrap up the NBA, that we were talking off the side that there's talk of the NBA leaving TNT possibly after this season and going to the highest bidder. They're going to bid it out, and maybe ESPN, maybe Fox or NBC will grab onto it and go. But that this could be the end of one of the most popular pre-game shows in all of sports inside the NBA. Yep. So, I mean, one of my favorite ones. I've always loved it. And, the main thing is Ernie Johnson said he's staying with Turner Sports. He's going to stay there because he does baseball for him.
Inside the NBA is the show.
Inside the NBA is the show, yes. It could be done because the NBA wouldn't be on TNT anymore. So Ernie Johnson's staying with Turner Sports because he does baseball for them and is on there and said he's going to stay loyal. Charles Barkley said he's a free agent and he'll sign wherever. So, anyone will be happy to get him on. But hopefully they can keep it on TNT because the NBA on TNT to me is just where it needs to be. This is the station it needs to be on. and
I think
keep
it's
these
great for the
scores
viewership
on
too.
together.
This show actually promotes it as well because it talks about more than just one team too. I mean, a lot of people usually like to focus on their team, but they bring enough of the other outside NBA talk into it, as well as being a fun and entertaining show. It's the only talking game show that I actually watch. ESPN's or CBS's, whoever, if they've got a game on, it's just muted whenever the halftime or pregames. Like, I don't even care.
And a
But
lot of people
I kind of want to
say,
hear what inside NBA folks are saying.
and see, I agree with you because I want to listen to what Charles and Shaq are saying, even if they're just arguing with each other the whole time. I want to listen to it because I'm going to hear something funny. Now, there's a lot of people that say they've gotten a little too old man, get off my yard now, the way they talk about the younger players, but that's what you're going to get as they get older. I mean, that's just, hey, you know, it's not as tough as it was when we were here, but they allow these other young players to come in and talk to them. They have Draymond Green coming all the time. Even though Draymond Green's an ass, they still have him come on and at least get a younger guy's perspective coming in, you know. But it's hilarious. I love it. I hope it stays, but we'll wait to see how it goes.
Mhm.
The last
They might get enough share to keep the show going.
Well, it's all about money, and Turner doesn't have the money like NBC does, and so if
no, not at all.
He wants to shell out the money, then they got it if they want.
That'll be the end of it. The last thing about the NBA is that this weekend, my boys finally got to watch the acclaimed classic Space Jam.
Oh,
the original, right?
The original. No, I've never watched the that sorry makeup whatever it is.
That doesn't count. That doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. No. This was the original Michael Jordan Space Jam, and getting to see a young round mound of rebound.
Oh yeah,
Charles Barkley.
Charles,
or excuse me, Sean Bradley's in there too. For the Mavericks.
Sean Bradley was in there, and got because my sister came over for the weekend, and she went ahead and got the movie, and
nice.
We watched it. I was like, yeah, Sean Bradley, yeah, he was actually a politician in Utah before he got hit riding his bicycle.
Oh God, what
a sad news. Yep, I know. I just brought the whole mood down with that. My apologies.
Debbie Downer over here.
But just a good little trip down memory lane. I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid, so it was good to watch. Good to watch Space Jam and let my boys watch it, and them both really, really enjoy the entire movie. Got lots of good laughs from them on that. So we'll go ahead and take a quick break here.
Hey, I want to mention one thing though. Wemby is the unanimous Rookie of the Year.
Boo!
Yeah, we don't care.
I've said it. The cat's out of the box.
No.
All right. Wemby got Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I've heard enough of them sucking him off for the past 2 days. I'm done. Done.
I would give it to Jaime Hawkins.
Exactly.
You go with anybody but him.
We're wrapping up the NBA now, and we'll take a quick break. We'll be back in a few moments with some NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. And welcome back from the break as we're ready to go into the next round, which is the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs. Now,
I want to mention something real quick, though, because it pisses me off that both the Mavs and Stars are playing at the same time. Whoever played this was shitty.
It'll be the same way on Thursday, too.
I know, but it just sucks.
It does. It does suck. It absolutely does. I mean, I've got the split screen with YouTube TV, which is very nice.
It's the only way to go.
Unfortunately, when Carolina and the New York Rangers are still in overtime, tied 3-3, and they won't score, so I can get the Stars on with both of them right now, which would be fantastic. But no, they're battling out and having a great. And I missed most of the first period because of it. A great first period by your Dallas Stars. Their game one, of course, started tonight against Colorado, and I know a lot of people were afraid of coming in against Colorado, the way that they handled Winnipeg, because Winnipeg is a very, very good team. I wasn't afraid of Colorado because of the way, really, the only game I saw them play against Colorado was right at the end of the season where they just manhandled Colorado. Colorado didn't have two of their best players in at that time. However, they were all over them from the get-go, and they showed why they were the number one seed. And coming in here now at the end of the first, Dallas is showing why, once again, why they're the number one seed. And maybe that they didn't, that the, as we said with the Mavericks, maybe the rust kind of got to Colorado, who's been sitting around for how many days? At least a week, if not longer.
Right. And that was really surprising because, that was the Jets were number 2 seed, Colorado was 3, and that was supposed to be a series, and Colorado really just kicked their ass.
I thought that was going to be the best series of the first round. I was wrong. It was Vegas and Dallas that was the best series of the first round, in my opinion.
Right.
But Colorado jumped all over them from the beginning and just worked them from the get-go. McKinnon got hot and scored in every single game.
Yeah, and what's so crazy is that, the Jets, whether it was defense or horrible goalkeeping, they gave up so many goals in this series. They gave up 28 goals in their 5 games. So
terrible.
You're not going to win when you do that. And so, but yeah, the last time the Avalanche and the Jets played, I believe, was darn near a week ago. Let me double check the exact.
The first game that they played, it was an 8-7 game.
Yeah, last Tuesday. Last Tuesday is the last time they played, and again, I know there's thought about whether or not the Stars are going to be rusty going into this, or not Stars being rusty, but the Stars being worn out due to the fact that they had a 7-game series, in which, my opinion, I don't know what y'all think, but that looks like a replay of the Western Conference Finals last year. That first round.
Well, just with a different result, as the Stanley Cup Twitter said, everything stays in Vegas but me, according to the Stanley Cup Twitter page.
Yeah. Well, the Stars took that series personally last year. Like, they honestly believe that they should have beat Vegas. They should have gone to win the Stanley Cup last year. And that they were able to finally get over that hump. And I know people were really worried, okay, coming in against Colorado, who worked Winnipeg like they did. Colorado has Nathan McKinnon, who's one of the top 3 guys set up for the MVP this year. And they averaged in the first series 5.6 goals a game. That is absurd.
Yeah.
5.6 goals a game. That unreal. Now, where Colorado has always been weak has been in their goaltending and in their defense. That just has not been their strong suit. They've outscored people. That's how they win. That's how they do it.
Yeah.
However, tonight, right now, as we've ended the first, the Stars are up 3-0.
Yeah, the Stars have scored on a 2-man. I can't say for the other 2, but
a 2-man advantage in a power play. So they took advantage of both. Ben got one, and then Suter got the first goal tonight, and then
Wyatt Johnston.
Johnston got the other one. Yes.
Yeah, there's getting the Wyatts confused. But that my own.
3 Wyatts to keep track of.
Yeah, 3
my
Wyatts
son
make
is
it right.
extremely excited watching Rangers baseball. Well, not now because Langford, we'll get to that later, is now on the DL. But when he's been able to get to watch the Stars games, seeing there's a Wyatt Johnston on there, there's a Wyatt, he is just ecstatic. So I'm like, yeah, and then he'll score a goal, and he's like, well, I scored. He just gets into it.
Right. Carrying that name on proud.
It is. I mean, hey, I would be the same way when I saw Chris with a K, which how rare is that? Extremely, except for Chris Christopherson. I'll definitely go after that. But anyways, I digress. The Stars are looking great, at least starting out here, and we'll see if they can keep that momentum going through. I think this is going to be a long series, even though they've come out quick here
No,
in
no.
game one. I could
mean,
see
I
this.
People have thought the Stars could go to the finals pretty easy if they could get past the Knights. That was the big question. If they can get past Vegas, they can go far.
I honestly believed whoever won out of the Stars or Vegas series was going to represent the West. That's who I thought was going to represent the West.
That's possible, highly possible.
Yeah, I don't have any disagree with that either. I mean, as a Western Conference,
but I didn't think it was going to be easy because the West is a gauntlet. Because say they continue like they're going, they win tonight, and they win. I'm not saying sweep, but they beat Colorado. You're going up against Edmonton next. Because I fully believe
Edmonton, if I believe
they have. And because I honestly believe Edmonton's going to beat Vancouver. But still, Edmonton's not. They have owned them, but that was in the regular season. That doesn't mean Edmonton's not a slouch. Now, do I think the Stars are better than Edmonton? Yes, I do. And they've proven that through the season. So I think it's a gauntlet to get there, but it's not going to be easy. But I do believe that they are better than the other teams still left in the Western Conference. There's no reason they shouldn't get to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, who are you going to play when you get there? That's where there could be some controversy.
And so, anyone from the East scare you at all right now? I'm personally not scared of any team in the East.
Carolina.
Yeah. And they're right in the middle of the first overtime right now. They're down 1-0 in the series. The game is tied 3-3 late in the first overtime. So that's something to keep an eye on. I thought
that's a
series. The Canes would kind of win this series, but Rangers.
I picked the Canes to win this series. I really did. I really believe the New York Rangers were primed for an upset. Now we'll see how that goes, since the Rangers were able to win the first game in New York. Really, Carolina, you just need to win a game on the road, win one. They can get one here in overtime, and steal one here. That's all you got to do is steal one on the road. That's it. Because Carolina's very, very solid at home. I think they're a very, very good team and a scary team to watch out for. But this was a matchup I've been looking. Once everything got set up, I was like, okay, this is the Eastern Series that I'm actually really intrigued in to see what's going to go on here. And so far, it hasn't disappointed. Yes, Carolina got blown out the first game 3-1, but they've really responded here in game 2. As you said, they're just now wrapping up the first overtime and still tied 3-3. We'll see how this one goes. Neither team's given up, and I really think Carolina's the team. Now, in your question, you said, who am I worried about? Yes. Carolina's the only team that I think could give the Stars some problem. I'm not afraid of the Rangers. I'm not afraid of Boston. And
You're not afraid of Boston.
I'm not afraid of Florida.
You're not afraid of Boston?
No, not whatsoever.
They scare me.
Yeah.
Because
Marchand's a bitch. So that's why I'm not afraid of him. He's very, very good, but he's a bitch.
The thing is, though, that look, I would be more scared of the Bruins, but they barely got past Toronto. But they have the revenge factor now against Florida after what happened last year when Florida upset them in 7 games.
Doesn't matter. They're not getting past the winner of the Rangers and.
So you think Carolina. The winner of the Rangers Hurricanes goes to the finals?
Yes.
Okay.
Quote me on it. The winner of
so here the Stars are representing the West because they won the Vegas Knights one. Thinking
yes. And I think the winner of this, even though I picked the Rangers to get upset beforehand, if they beat Carolina, which I don't think they will, I think they won at home. Yeah, they get a good win at home, but I still think Carolina's going to take this series. I think they will win all the games at home, and they'll take at least one in New York. I think it's going to be Carolina and Dallas. That's who I think is going to be in the Stanley Cup. And I think that can come down to a game 7. It definitely could. at that point. Carolina's solid. They are solid top to bottom. The only thing is in the third and fourth line, they're not as strong as the Stars are. And the Stars' depth is where they've really leaned on. I mean, and I
You want to talk about
series.
some of the best fourth line performance was the Stars in Game 7 on Sunday night.
Oh, yes.
Unbelievable.
Radek Vaska, wow.
Yes.
I mean, back after 4 games off.
Yeah. That's unbelievable.
For a mysterious illness, undisclosed illness.
I don't know what the hell that was, but that fourth line was unbelievable.
He looked like Stone on Game 1.
Exactly. So
hey,
I mean that.
I'll take it.
Of course. But I mean that was just unbelievable. But I'm still worried about Boston. But the Carolina, New York, these are starting to turn. I mean, we already had the Stars and the Knights in round 1, but the rest of Bruins Maple Leafs was unnecessarily a close series, in my opinion.
Toronto played above what they should have. Yeah. Which good for them. They gave something for their fans to root for. That's all Toronto fans can ask for.
And Winnipeg played below their expectations. I think that's
well below. Nashville won a game. That was more than they probably expected. I didn't expect Nashville to win the game against Vancouver.
Right.
And Edmonton, the Kings beat Edmonton once. That was more than what I expected. I expected that to be a sweep. So
now, if the Stars win, do we like Edmonton or do we like Vancouver more to win that series? I'm kind of leaning towards Edmonton.
Edmonton's going to win the series.
Okay,
that's just period. What it is, they're a better team. I'm leaning
towards Edmonton just because of the McDavid.
That's the reason why. I mean, even in it sounds stupid, but I want Edmonton because even with Connor McDavid, you match up better against Edmonton. Edmonton's the same team as Colorado. They're fast. They want to move the puck. They want to work things around. They're not going to get down there and bruise you and beat you up like Vegas did. That's where we had problems. We were able to outlast it, but that's where we had some problems. These teams are a little bit more finesse, a little bit more speed. That's where, excuse me, that's where Roope Hintz really comes huge in his speed and getting Pavelski going. They need to get him going and get him rock and roll like he does and getting them out open instead of down muscling up and bruising around. That didn't help their games. So you get those two fired up, that's really going to be trouble for opposing teams. But yes, I would. You'd say you want to avoid Connor McDavid. No, we want Edmonton. We match up well against them. We showed it during the season, as we talked about earlier. But yeah, no, you want Edmonton. Yeah. If you're a Stars fan, you want Edmonton in the Western Conference Finals, and you want to knock them out because you match up way too well against them.
Right. Well, also too, I think what's going to help Edmonton in this series is that Thatcher Demko right now, their star goalie is out, and they're going with Artur Silva. So I think that's going to be an issue for Vancouver. I think Edmonton's going to probably win this game pretty easily, the series pretty easily within 6 games or so at the most. So
yeah, I think it'll be at most 6, probably 5. I say Edmonton 5.
I wouldn't be shocked by 5 either. I mean,
and that's why I think the Stars. I think the Stars will beat Colorado in 6, which gives Dallas a little less rest time than Edmonton, which I think is going to work in their favor and keeping them hot and keeping them going, just like it so far is doing here at the game 1 against Colorado. Right. Colorado had a full week off. Stars had 2 days, and they just seem to be firing on all cylinders. Rest versus rest.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think we're good right there with that. And even with Boston beating Florida, and they came out that whole rest, Florida's been sitting forever. after whipping Tampa Bay. And
yeah,
Boston.
And Boston came off the 7-game series.
Exactly. They came out and jumped all over Florida. Don't sleep on the Florida Panthers. They're going to come back here against Boston. I'm not going to be surprised at all if they come out and
They were the
work
East top
Boston over the
teams
next
for
one.
a long time.
But
They are.
but
They're the number one team in the East.
I think. But you think?
Well, no, they're not in their division. The Rangers are. Sorry, I misspoke. The New York Rangers, because they won the President's Cup. My apologies. I misspoke.
No,
I think
they're
Boston.
up there.
I mean, but I think that Boston Florida series will probably go like 7 games. Don't you think? 6 or 7.
It should, because, like you
Sure.
said, Boston has a score to settle, just like the Stars had a score to settle with Vegas. They have a score to settle against Florida. They should have beat Florida last year after what happened, and they still are pissed off about that. As well, they should be. Florida's not that same upstart team they were last year.
They're
They were
the
a
hunted
very, very
for
good team.
exchange.
Exactly. So the roles have kind of been reversed, but yeah, all the players that were on Boston last year haven't forgotten that series. They're not.
Yeah. Man, the more and more I'm thinking about it, Chris, the more and more I'm thinking about that. Because I said that Oilers Canucks series in 6, but man, the more and more I think about it, it could be 5, like you said.
I think it's
I
5.
just
I
think-
think it's going to be 5. Edmonton's better than Vancouver.
Yeah.
They're better.
They
They're
are.
flat out better,
For
and they
sure.
have the best player on the ice.
Yes. Agree.
Now, if it goes 6, I'm not going to be surprised.
Oh no, I mean, if
I'm not even surprised if it ends up going 7. I'm not going to be surprised by that. I just fully believe Edmonton's going to jump out on them, and they're going to beat them.
yeah,
They're going to beat them quick. It'll be a gentleman's sweep, and they're going to end it and get it over and done with.
yeah. I mean, I think that's
I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again. There's multiple times. I mean, a lot of these I go from what I've seen.
I just think
And
the
I can tell you,
goaltending situation.
I haven't watched a single Vancouver Canuck game all season. So I mean, it's not like I'm sitting there going, "Man, I am just all over this team." I've been watching them left and right every single game, and just this is how they are in these certain circumstances. I'm not, but and I haven't watched many Edmonton Oilers games either because I don't get them out over here. You don't get those West Coast games over here, and if you do get them, they're at 10:30 at night. And yeah, I'm not staying up
Yeah,
to
the
watch.
center ice package.
I'll stay up and watch the Stars, but I'm not going to watch all these other teams. It's just too rough. But by watching how the highlights and watching how these teams have won their games and how they've done everything, I'm making an educated guess on it from what I know about hockey. And they have McDavid, and when you have the best player on the ice, that helps give you an extra little push to get it there. And I just think they just have a better overall team than Vancouver. So
Yeah.
I like if it goes 6-7, I'm not surprised, but I really think it'll be 5. I really do. Anything you wanted to contribute, Caleb?
I think y'all covered it.
Go Stars.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go Stars.
Stars up have just started the second period up 3-0. So we're going to be at least having that in the background as we're talking right along. Stars this season, 8 players with 20-plus goals, 2 more than any other team. That is outstanding.
And also, too, we got that Hurricanes Rangers game at the end of the first overtime. So,
And I was worried, honestly, when the Stars did go to 7, but I didn't realize their coach was undefeated in Game 7s. I didn't realize he was 7-0 in those clinching games.
Pete DeBoer.
8-0 after this year. Yeah, he's 8-0 now. I didn't realize he was undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
So if they end up going to a 7-game series here, bet on the Stars. Bet on Pete DeBoer. Because he hasn't proven you any reason. He has that stat. Now, the only thing is he needs to win a Stanley Cup because that's one thing that has eluded him up to this point.
Yeah.
There's a Buck Showalter.
It cost him keeping his Las Vegas night job. So.
Exactly. And the year after they let him go and he came to the Stars is when they beat the Stars in the Western Conference Finals and then won the Stanley Cup.
Stanley Cup, yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, we'll take a break here from the NHL. We'll be back here in just a moment and talk some Major League Baseball. And welcome back to the next round as we're ready to talk about Major League Baseball. And your Texas Rangers have been running hot. Caleb's supporting them here tonight. They've been running really, really hot, winning 5 of their last 6 games, winning a big game against the Oakland or Sacramento.
Las Vegas,
Sacramento, wherever they're going to be.
Philadelphia, Kansas City.
That green and yellow team in our division, whipping them up here tonight. And the Rangers have been able to get themselves back into first place in the division. It was the record of 21-16. Seattle right behind them, 19-16. But Seattle was able to get a win here tonight.
They've doubled their run differential too, which is impressive.
It is. Finally, maybe the bats are finally waking up. I mean, Wyatt Langford did just go on the DL, and he's been bad. He has been bad. But it is to be expected. Maybe this little trip on the DL he can sit down, watch some tape, take some mental away from the game, and kind of realign himself to get ready to get.
We still need Seager to show up, but the rest of the bats do seem like they're starting to wake.
Honestly, my brother and I were talking about this the other day. It was a perfect time for Wyatt Langford to go on the DL because the rest of the lineup was getting hot. Wyatt Langford has been terrible lately. He hasn't had frankly hasn't had the power all year long. He hadn't had a hit in May. He's really struggled at the plate for arguably the past 6 weeks. And for him to maybe go down and recover a little bit and then, heck, maybe send him to AAA and get some at-bats.
I would definitely recommend AAA at-bats for a little bit. Get that confidence back up. But
that's the
have an excuse to do it now. Because
that's the whole thing. The rest of the way back, he comes back and he hits AAA as a rehab. You haven't sitting him down. He's doing it as a rehab, which helps get his confidence back up without knocking him down if we demoted you back down.
Exactly.
That's what's huge. That's what you don't need from him. And everybody could, compares him to Mike Trout. But Mike Trout, see, when he first came up was at the end of his first season, which then he looked terrible before. But then they ended the season. He was able to take the whole off season to kind of watch film, tweak himself, tweak his batting stance. And then he came back, won Rookie of the Year the next year, and almost MVP. But people forget that he had the end of the year before that he actually was called up where he sucked because he was trying to figure it out. Not everyone who comes up immediately can figure out the majors. There's a reason why it's so hard to become a Major League Baseball player. Because it's hard. It's not easy. Wyatt Langford has succeeded at every level he's gotten to, and then he sucked the minute he came up. Guess what? That happens to everyone. So having this is absolutely the perfect time where he can reassess himself. He can get some rehab batting down at AAA and realize, hey, I can do this, and bring him back up.
I mean, some of these wins have been quality wins against good teams. Like the Royals are a good team right now. They basically swept them
right now,
which is shocking, by the way. 5 games above 500.
I was about to say the same thing. Like that's a shocking team to say. That's a good team.
And the good thing about the Royals too, Caleb, I know you're all about run differential, so I know you'll like this. They have a 44 run differential right now, which is
tell me more.
Best of the AL. Yeah, exactly. so they're legitimately been playing good ball right now. Is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's the key to me. Like If teams have good run differential or in the high league of that, I can tell their offense is good.
Well, I think what the Rangers are evolving into right now is the identity that we anticipated them having at the start of the year. We knew the pitching would be a struggle, whether that be starting and or the bullpen. But now the lineup is starting to pick up a little bit.
I don't think it's been a huge struggle as much as it has been. I think the pitching's been a little bit more solid than what we're giving them credit for.
Yeah,
and
I mean, Haney's
which is interesting.
Gray's had Rocky.
Which is good. Gray's look good.
Baldy started out good. He's on the DL, of course, now. I mean, Lorenzo has been.
You're not even going to bring up Kirby, which they moved down to the closing role here in the last month. He has looked.
Kirby Yates has been really good.
Yes,
he's looked good.
He's been fantastic.
I mean, I wouldn't say great. His
nothing out of him.
Small for me, but he's looked good.
I've expected nothing out of him, but he's come in as a wily veteran. He's not throwing 103 miles an hour, but you know what? He's closing the games out, and he's doing what you need him to do. Now,
6 saves already for Kirby, by the way.
Now, to me, is it kind of reminded me last year of Will Smith at this point? A little bit.
But hey, Will Smith got us through the first half of the season last year.
And that's what Kirby Yates is doing for us right now, getting us through. That's what we need, is we need guys to get us through. And right now, he's the one doing it. I don't know if he'll still be doing what he's doing at the end of the season, but right now, I'm very happy with what we've got from him so far.
Oh yeah, and then I mean, even look at our IR and people that are coming back. As we joked before we started, we have an all-star pitching lineup just on IR.
Yes,
between Eovaldi, DeGrom, and Scherzer, who are all expected to be back in the second half of the season here or after the All-Star break. So I mean, the starting pitching could sort itself out, and if the relievers keep doing what they're doing because they've been fairly solid, and that offense is finally turning the corner, this is going to be a dangerous team come playoffs.
Very dangerous, very dangerous. The thing is, they just need to stay relevant to that point, and right now they are, because the bats are waking up, going 5 of 6, where they've just been. Everyone was starting to write them off, which, I mean, the national pundits I understand because they're going to write them off, but this team still had the majority of everybody together, and they weathered the storm, and at least have weathered the storm so far. And it helped that Seattle hasn't played very well either to keep yourselves in this position. But
that's going to be, to me, that's the main thing too that helps us out, is the rest of the West is not playing very good. I mean, we anticipated that from the A's and the Angels, but the Astros, we may have thought they're going to take a little bit of a step back, but they've been gone.
Well, the A's, who we beat tonight pretty significantly, are third in the division. Houston's in fourth.
Well,
Houston's last,
which is unbelievable.
Oh, with the Angels in fourth, like they were all. Pitching, man.
Angels won.
Progression too doesn't help them.
Let's see. Oh, Angels did win. So now
Angels and
Seattle, they beat the Pirates. They beat the Pirates.
Yeah, so the Astros are now last place.
In last. Hey, Josh Hader, good signing, jackass.
Yeah, Caleb. You want Josh Hader now?
Hey, I still want Josh Hader.
It wasn't worth the money.
Okay.
Well, the Rangers got scared because they know they didn't have all this money going forward. They didn't know where money was coming from.
Hypothetically, we're going over here into the what would happen, okay? Staying at the trade deadline, that Houston would trade with the Rangers, because I'm telling you right now, I don't think they would out of spite.
Oh, yeah. Or it's a king's ransom type of thing.
Saying that they would, what would you feel comfortable getting rid of to get Josh Hader to solidify your bullpen and go into the playoff push? Who are you willing to give up?
Foscue and maybe Duran.
I just wouldn't give those guys are too valuable.
That's the thing, is would Houston take just Foscue and Durant? Is that all they're going?
That's what I'm saying. It's probably going to take more. But I mean, the prospect pool is it's not necessarily thin, but it's starting to thin out from some of the trades they've made recently. So
Are you
I'm
throwing
not putting-
Jack Leiter in on that?
Sure.
I mean, honestly, I might. I mean, he hasn't necessarily proven anything to me that he's going to turn
Back
around.
and said, "We'll only
The thing
take
is,
Wyatt
though-
Langford." What do you say?
Nah,
The thing is,
not at this point
oh
in time.
hell no, hell no.
I'd give
Josh
him. I'd
Hader's-
send him the middle finger emoji.
I mean, Josh Hader's been god awful.
He has not been
God
very
awful.
good. You're
He
correct.
has he has an ERA of 6.14 at the moment. I'm looking at. And he's given
Quick
up a
update:
couple-
New York Rangers just scored in the second overtime with a 4-3 win
Oh,
and have a
It's
2-0
2-0
series
then.
lead going to Carolina.
Yep.
and also too another update: the Avalanche have another goal, so we are not over. And that game, unfortunately,
Avs have almost
either.
tied it with Oklahoma.
I did not think that one would be over at any point. Yep,
Let's
Mavericks
see.
are close with Oklahoma. Yep, yes they are. 4-point game right now. A lot better than what it
Yeah.
was halftime.
I mean, one team I do want to kind of mention too is the Orioles, who some people thought might regress and fall behind the Yankees and Boston.
Oh wow!
I was like,
No,
nah.
I did not think they were regressing at
I
all.
know.
I knew this
I,
was going to be.
I know we didn't. I'm just saying, like some people were like, yeah, the Yankees are going to be back. They're going to bounce back, and so is Boston. I mean, the Yankees aren't far behind, neither is Boston necessarily, but the Orioles have been a damn fine team with that young lineup still producing. I believe they got Corbin Burns as the starting pitcher they got at the start of the year too. So they got a number one now,
Yes,
which is one of their issues from last year when they faced the Rangers. So shout out to the Orioles, killing it.
Well,
And with
also
the Yankees, yet last week, Aaron Judge actually got tossed out of a game, and that's the first time in I think what was it, over 30 years that a Yankee captain has been tossed out of a game.
Interesting.
Just bring the Yankees. That's something I heard the other day that
yeah,
Because
no, that's
it's
they're
interesting
never going to
stuff.
toss his entire career, and he was the captain for 20 years. And then Judge took over, and so it's been right around 30 years since a Yankee captain has been tossed, and that happened last week. So interesting little stat there. And he got tossed for saying that a strike three was bullshit, and apparently the umpire
that's
turned
the
around.
first
and
time
tossed
he
him
got
because of that.
ejected.
First time he's ever been
First time-
ejected.
First time it's ever been ejected.
Yep.
So you're right, Caleb. I think a big part of the continuation for the Orioles' performance, yes, is the pickup of Corbin Burns. That's been huge. Also, Cole Irvin's had an unexpectedly good start of the year for Baltimore. I think the key will be for them to get to the next level is whether or not Adley Rutschman can get to that great level as opposed to the good level he's at right now. Same thing with Gunnar Henderson and Anthony Santander. Those young guys need to take the next step if they want to be World Series contenders, or else they'll kind of end up being where they were last year, getting swept by the Rangers. So,
Or somebody else, right?
yeah.
Very true.
I don't think they'll be swept. I think they're going to be a team to reckon with when it goes to playoff time. I don't want to see Baltimore again this year. I don't want to see them.
No,
I
I
think
mean
they
I don't want to
think they
see them
learned
on year
from last
2.
year. I think they learned it from last year. They took their lumps just like Oklahoma City, like I said earlier in our conversation there. I think they took their lumps last year, and I think they're going to be ripping and roaring and ready to go when it comes to playoff time. I really am.
I mean that, yeah.
Stadium.
I agree with that.
I mean that Adley Rutschman, he
Yeah.
might
And
be
I
the
said,
best.
well, he's not playing right now. They do have Matt Holliday's son, Jackson Holiday, going for him too recently.
The thing is,
out of Austin, Texas, Jackson.
How old do you feel that these all players that we saw growing up, their kids are playing now? God,
I know,
right?
That's the sad part. And the thing
he's 20 years old. He's not just playing.
Who cares if it's Jackson Holiday? He's arguably the best prospect in baseball right now. So,
I mean, hell, Bronny James about to get drafted, and LeBron James.
One reason he's even getting drafted, though.
Let's
be honest with his numbers.
LeBron. Well, the thing is, LeBron is 6 months younger than me.
But he's had more back issues.
Makes me feel good. Yeah. All right. Well, unless you guys have any other baseball nuggets to throw in.
The only thing that I would like to mention very quick in the baseball is that
in the baseball,
the Nationals are a game above 500.
But they lost the series to the Rangers.
They are not the White Sox. They're not the Houston Astros. The Houston Lastros.
We're not the bottom feeders. We're in a full rebuild mode, but yet we are still a game above 500. But I will say this: one guy for sure that y'all need to keep up on for the next couple of years. C.J. Abrams, power hitting shortstop, great fielder. This guy can do it all. 5-tool player. Watch out for C.J. Abrams.
Trade for him is what I'm hearing.
Yes. We'll just trade Rapey for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Just Josh Young and Dolis Garcia.
We'll take C.J. Abrams, and you can have a old washing machine.
There you go. Yay!
Is it a vintage washing machine?
Yes. It's like trading Maddox.
So you know it's gonna last.
Woody Harrelson trading for Woody Harrelson in semi-pro. For those who haven't seen it.
And traded for Will Ferrell like he did in that skit.
Well, we were gonna take our final break here for the evening, and we'll be right back with the Sports Gumbo here in just a moment.
That's good. Man, that's good. That's what you call gumbo. Poor man gumbo.
And welcome back, everyone, as we're ready to go to the last round, the final round of tonight's podcast, the Sports Gumbo. We'll mix a little bit of everything we weren't able to throw into the previous segments. And we'll go ahead and, Caleb, we'll let you start us off here. You get a little UConn news you wanted to bring up here.
Yeah. A little bit of way too early news, as they like to jokingly call it. UConn's currently ranked 7th in the way too early rankings of the NCAA.
Who's ranked number one? We're doing this.
Who's number one is Kansas.
That's a way over ranking right there.
Highly probable, but since Hunter Dickinson's coming back and stuff,
he came back last year, and they still suck. I'm sick and tired of Kansas getting overrated.
But anyway, let me see here. So the transfer portal pickups are Adam Haney and Jalen Stewart that are going to be coming in. If I'm reading that right. And we don't know if Alex Caravan might be back. So if Alex Caravan comes back, I think this team moves up more in the rankings. Not to mention they got the number 9 ESPN prospect and Liam McNeely to come in as well. So this could be an interesting team come next year. We're going to three-peat. I'm just playing. I have no clue what the hell is going to happen until I see this team play. But UConn started out number 7 in the way too early rankings. Some interesting pickups.
but we're still waiting on Caravan.
Yeah, my guess is he's probably just not signing an agent and seeing if he gets drafted and where he gets drafted. Because for him going in the second round, even though I think he's worthy of at least a high second rounder, if he goes in the second round, I'm thinking he's already gone.
Yeah, I guess the key will be, and he's probably been waiting for this. It's, the end of the NCAA tournament is whether or not he could be a lottery pick or not. He's a lottery pick. He's clearly leaving.
Very true, very true. Oh, I forgot to mention too, Kansas, I believe, picked up a Storr, the Wisconsin Star. That's another reason they're favored. So
I'm so sick and tired of Kansas being projected number one every single freaking year.
It's old news at this point. I mean, they're projected first, and they just fall down the rankings. They'll probably finish around 5 or maybe 6 this year. I think they're a better team.
They're the new Gonzaga, getting overrated and then getting worked later on in the year. Which does it still? Do you see where Gonzaga's ranked? Where are they ranked? Let me guess. 3.
I don't know. Let me go pull up the full article here.
They're at least in the top 10.
Yeah, most likely.
They do not.
Why don't we go to one of you guys while I pull this up, so we're not just taking up time.
Okay, go ahead, Jeff. Go ahead and talk about. But I know you had a little subject you wanted to bring up here.
So, Rasheed Rice.
Bad boys, what you want? What you want to do? What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you, bad boys?
Bad boys, bad boys.
I felt like we needed a soundtrack in the background while we were talking here. Go ahead. Anyways, what were you saying?
So we all know what happened to Rasheed Rice back in late March when he went 118 street racing off Lover's Lane in 75, and he walked away from the incident after causing a 6-car wreck.
Didn't walk away. He ran away.
He ran away.
He ran.
And
so it's clear. He ran.
He faced multiple counts of assault and bodily injury. This weekend, very early Monday morning at 2:30, officers were dispatched to a nightclub on the 600 block of North Harwood Street near Federal Street for reports of an assault. A man was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The spokesperson said law enforcement officials told the Morning News the man had visible swelling on one side of the face. Officials said that Rasheed Rice is accused in the case. They're not naming any of the suspects. It's not a practice to release or confirm the suspect's identity during an investigation.
So in the matter of months, he goes from running from the scene of a 6-car accident that he caused to now getting into a drunken bar fight.
That'd be correct, yes.
What are you doing? Who is in control of this person? Like, I'm sorry, but don't these teams have guys that, will go with their guy? I know they've got I've heard that these teams have phone lines.
Watch the Dynasty. The Patriots had a guy.
They've got a phone line you can call to pick you up and drive you, which is why you don't have to drive drunk. You don't have to call an Uber and deal with all that. If you know that your guy is doing, no offense, hood rat crap, being a freaking thug, being dumb, why don't you have a handler on him? Why is he able to be out in public and doing this after what happened beforehand? That is absurd. Kansas City needs to get their guys in check. This is maybe they don't care what happens. Maybe they're just going to cut him anyway because after signing Hollywood Brown and
drafting Xavier Worthy.
It's like, whatever, we don't care, we'll cut him. It doesn't matter. Let him do whatever he's going to do. Let him ruin himself. But that, to me, is a disservice and a failure to your players. If you got a guy that you think is just being maybe led the wrong way, you need to have somebody out there mentoring him, counseling him, keeping him away, not letting him go out at night to where he gets drunk and gets to a damn bar fight. Let him stay at home and play video games. Have the guy sit there and play video games with him and get drunk with him there. So he just go out and do something stupid, especially after he just got into a 6-car accident a few months ago and ran away.
Right.
I mean, yes, it all comes back on Rice. It's all his fault because he's the one that's doing it. But at the same time, the Chiefs organization, to me, is just as guilty because they're not addressing this situation. They're just kind of letting it happen. And to me, they're letting it happen so they can let him go and wash their hands of the whole situation, which to me is a completely disservice to your employees.
What's interesting is whether or not they'll treat this similarly to what they did with Tyreek Hill a couple of years ago, where they just, instead of keeping him on for even longer, they traded him away. And I wonder if they'll do the same with Rashee Rice again when his rookie contract goes out.
Well,
the thing is, Rashee Rice needs to stop acting like he has a shit ton of money. I don't know how much legal fees he's incurred right now. He's got to be broke because he's not.
Well, that's the thing. At least when they moved on from Tyreek Hill and he went all crazy and did his thing, he at least had established himself as one of the top wide receivers in the entire NFL. Rashee Rice is on a rookie contract, his rookie year, where he only showed up at the end of the season to actually, be a legitimate weapon for Patrick Mahomes. So it's not like he has, a portfolio of what he's done in the NFL. He doesn't. He barely he has 5 games that he can show what he's actually done something here. It's not like he's an established number one. Like, he's not like the best or top 4, not even top 10 best receivers in the league.
I think it
and you're pulling all this stunts and think you're going to be able to get signed or traded and somebody's going to run a risk on you on that? Hell no.
No.
If you're going to get away with this and still have a career, your talent has to be outside of this world. And his talent is not outside of this world. To me, he was made. He looked good because of Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes made him look good. And you're out here playing around with the with the house money, and you cannot cash. Once you lose, you're not going to be able to cash it all in. He's an idiot. He's a complete idiot. But
I was about to say,
as much as he's an idiot, though, I think Kansas City's failing him. I think they are failing him because if they didn't know what they were dealing with after the wreck, they knew then, and they allowed him to get into this other situation. As an organization, you have failed him.
Well, also too, that goes back to the deal too, where the NFL, when anything bad happens, they say we'll continue to monitor the situation, which means absolutely nothing. There's no act from the employer to have any kind of discipline or punishment whatsoever.
When did that change actually happen? Because there was at the point. I mean, back when Zeke got in trouble his rookie year, everyone thought when he was accused of molesting that girl, I believe it was molest. I don't know if it was rape. I can't remember right now off the top of my head if it was molest, rape, what it was.
I think he just pulled down her top at the.
Yeah, it was, but it wasn't as bad as what Rice did when he beat the hell out of that girl.
There's
her out
an
of the
alleged pushing
elevator.
down stairs, I believe. For
Yeah, I mean,
Ezekiel
then
Elliott.
it seemed like it was over the top, punishments over for players. And then now we're talking, oh, well, now no, we don't punish at all. I mean, where was the point where it changed from where it was over the top to now it's no punishments whatsoever? I mean, where does it change? Do you guys remember? I'm trying to remember exactly where we're
I think
changing.
if
We're
it
now
comes to
talking
domestic assault,
Well,
the stuff
there's
the
no-
NBA is taking hits on.
There is
big
the-
hits
the-
at
Well, where's
players,
the thing is,
then that's when it's
Chris.
gonna
The
be
thing
the
is,
big
that's the
issue.
issue.
When it comes
That's
to
the
car
issue.
wrecks and stuff like
There's
that,
no
where
official-
the NBA hasn't taken a hit. It's,
Well, what about Ruggs?
There's-
Ruggs car
there's
wreck,
no-
he didn't. That wasn't held differently.
There's
I'm
no
not
official
saying
change.
it's right
now.
or wrong. I'm just saying.
There's no
if the
official
NBA's
change now.
like getting in trouble for it, they'll be harsh on it because they've got to look tough. But if they're not,
there was no official change. Now the NFL, Roger Goodell.
Well, the
came
NFL
out
never should have had to
initially-
worry about punishing at all. It should be done by the teams. The teams should be able to handle their own players.
Well, the thing
And
is,
if they
these
can't,
teams-
then that's when the
teams-
NFL
these
should
teams
come
aren't
in.
gonna
And
do
that's
shit anymore.
Well-
It's gotten to the point now where
that's
Rasheed
where the
Rice, he needs to be suspended for the whole season.
no, he does. He needs to be completely suspended for the whole season. And the team should do it. They shouldn't have to worry about the NFL doing it. Kansas City should suspend him for the whole season and stand up and show
you
their
can
moral
say that's on
fortitude.
Kansas
And if they
City.
don't,
And you
that's
can
when the
say that's
NFL
on
needs to
Kansas
step
City.
in, fine Kansas City, and then suspend him for the whole season. And if they need to, take away a draft pick because you're not doing it. You're not doing what you should have done. The NFL should not be in the business of disciplining these players. That should be done on a team base. Basically, look at this as the
yeah, but when
NFL
has a team
the-
ever really suspended their own players for a long time? Unless it was
True.
detrimental to the team.
Well, true, exactly.
That's
But
it.
that's the whole thing is that it needs to be. This is what it needs to be. It's not this. But this is what it needs to be. It needs to be that the NFL is the central government and the teams are the states. And the states need to handle their shit. But when they don't, then the central government can come in and handle it. And that's the thing is you have to pressure them into that way. If you have to, okay, look, we're going to let you discipline these guys. But if you don't, we will discipline them. But if we have to come in and discipline them, one, you're losing a draft pick and you're getting fined like hell. We'll let you take care of your stuff, but if you don't take care of your stuff, we're going to punish you for not taking care of it. And we'll take care of it. And force them to do it. Make it uncomfortable for these owners and GMs. Make it uncomfortable. You can't be buddies with these players, especially if they are fucking up the way that they're fucking up. Hold them accountable. Take care of them. If you have a guy that's doing this, then you need to be sending a caretaker with him. And if he doesn't like it, then fine, you're cut. You're gone. I don't care what your talent is. Obviously, there's a reason why we need to be watching you all the time. Oh, well, I'm an adult. No, well, obviously, then start acting like an adult because you're not acting like an adult. You're not acting like a professional. You're not acting as part of this. Anybody acts like this in the professional world is fired after the first time.
Multiple
Done.
times. Good God, could you imagine any one of us?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. The NFL is like that, though.
Well,
It is, and
different
that's
ball
why it
game.
needs to be
AKA.
reined in. The thing is, Roger Goodell doesn't have the fucking spine to do it.
Well, we all say he's a bad commissioner. We know this. Like he's
Everyone
so
knows he's a bad
wishy-washy
commissioner.
and floppy. Then he keeps wanting to get these. He wants to do away with the preseason now completely and go with just 18 games in the regular season. I don't know.
Avalanche and
Yeah.
Stars are tied 3-3.
I was just about to say the same.
But
Whatever.
anyways, I mean, it's just
Well.
the NFL needs to hold the teams accountable to take care of these players.
Well, we've
and
said that for
We'll do it.
years, but
We
they
have.
don't. They don't care.
until they do it, nothing's going to
And
change.
especially
That's
if
gonna
owners
happen.
do anything, they don't care.
Yeah,
As we saw with the
He
Jerry
should be
Jones sex scandal and the Robert Kraft.
Rice
massage
should
bar.
be suspended for the whole year. He should be,
They don't care.
but he'll
Yeah.
probably end up playing because no one cares, and that's what's
That-
absurd. Is you're just
if-
rewarding bad behavior
I
at that
swear,
point.
two major violations like that. If he somehow plays, I'm fucking done.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I'm saying he shouldn't.
I mean, I wouldn't be
surprised.
either. I wouldn't be either.
Well, anyways, enough about that nonsense.
Well, I did find the article, so let me answer your question.
Perfect. No, yes, I was actually about to come back to see if you did.
I know, right? Surprise! So, actually, Gonzaga is 3 behind Kansas and Duke.
What a load of shit!
Yeah, and
that
above Houston.
Who's 2? Purdue.
What?
Who's 2? Purdue? Is it Purdue? It's Purdue.
No, I said Duke. It's behind Kansas and Duke.
Who's too
I mean,
early
both those
ranking?
teams are too high.
So Kansas, Duke, Gonzaga.
Yep, that's your top 3 according to the way too early.
Okay, whoever's
and
smoking
what
on that
publication is this? What publication?
Athletic has got this one. Surprising. They're saying Gonzaga's bringing back everybody on their team pretty much besides their star player who they filled through the transfer portal. They were the number 8 in the offense efficiency ranking at the second half of the season.
Fail again.
So
they
had a better run.
Oh wait, Gonzaga. Yeah, they play basketball there. They play lots of basketball there. We should rank them high. Yeah, they play basketball in Washington State. Yeah, out in the middle of nowhere. Get a Bulldog. It's all right. They're cool. Yeah, let's go. Let's make them number 3. Joke. Fucking joke.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, about that. Screw that. Screw Gonzaga. We're going to talk now about the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby that happened this weekend. And wow, what a finish! What a race! I was able to actually get my sons really involved into it. Let them pick their own horses. They were able to pick a horse, and they were watching the race and were enthralled. And afterwards, were made up their own imaginary Kentucky Derby that they were running the races. So it was a good time. It was a good time here at the Porter household. Yeah. We had a great time watching it. But
one of the better finishes in recent memory. In fact, I think it was the closest finish in Derby history, right?
The closest in Derby history, and the closest, the only other one closest to this was, I think, in 1948. I think.
Jeez.
Right around there.
Yeah. Which would have been the last.
Really, how quick was their camera action on that photo finish? I mean,
let's see, I'm reading it now. Yeah, let's see. He held on a short lead, turning for home and drew clear by 2 lengths down stretch by Heed. That's Mystic Dan. Sierra Leone and Forever Young close late, but we're not able to catch Mystic Dan, who held on to win the race by nose in the race's first 3-horse photo finish. That is insane. Not 2-horse photo finish, but 3-horse photo finish.
That's very true.
First time since 47. So you're right.
Oh, I was a year off. I knew I was right there. I knew it was 40. Oh man, I feel good that I got that close. I didn't have to do that.
But I was about to say you are correct. It was that long.
Yeah, watching this race, amazing. Fierceness didn't have a chance in this race. Forever Young looks good there, and I'm watching as it comes down to the final leg going, wow, Mystic Dan is right there. He's right there. In Sierra Leone, they had shown clips of Sierra Leone from all the past races that this horse liked to wait until that last turn, that last leg, to really turn on the jets and really blow it apart, and had beaten many of the horses in Kentucky Derby in earlier races in that last leg to come back and win and really dominate. And Sierra Leone really made a push there, but Mystic Dan made, wow, it was amazing to watch that. I watched the photo finish over and over again going, I think Mystic Dan won, but I can't really tell. And it took forever to tell, but man, what a race. Exciting way. If you want to get people into the sport, that's a way to do it, especially on the 150th running of the Kentucky Derby. And
also,
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, one of my friends won $900 on an exacta, which an exacta means getting the exact to first and second place right. So he had Mystic Dan and Sierra Leone finishing 1 and 2.
Good
so
picks.
Nice, very
$900
good.
for $10 bet. That's pretty good.
Hey, that's a good return on your investment right there.
Mhm.
Now, Mystic Dan is the first winner of the Derby who, right before, won the Kentucky Oaks. That has happened.
Oh.
The first horse to win the Kentucky Oaks and then win the Kentucky Derby back to back since 1952.
I did not know he won the Oaks. Interesting.
Yes. Mystic Dan won the Kentucky Oaks right beforehand, and then so huge. I mean, that's setting history there on its own. Now, the controversy coming out now, unlike in the controversy the last couple of years that we've discussed, is that Mystic Dan has not said, the trainer for Mystic Dan has not jumped into saying, "Hey, we are running in the Preakness. The Preakness is in 2 weeks," and he's come to say, "Hey, the horse hasn't run well, after 2 weeks. Really, we're better after 5 weeks." Well, of course, every horse is going to be better after 5 weeks. If Mystic Dan does not run in the Preakness, that's where you lose every opportunity in this sport. The people who run, the Triple Crown and all the horse racing, you need to have this. Like last year, I can't remember the winner last year off the top of my head, but you need the American Pharaohs. You need these other horses going for the Triple Crown. You don't need, okay, we run the Derby. It's such great, but yeah, we're gonna race. We're gonna wait at the Preakness so that we can have a better chance at the Belmont Stakes. It's like, no, that's not the point. The whole point of having, like, I'm a fan. I'm gonna watch the Preakness no matter what. But the general sports fan who has nothing else to do on that Saturday is not going to watch the Preakness unless there's a chance for a Triple Crown. That's the whole reason. That's what brings people to watch your sport, is getting a Triple Crown. That is the whole reason of these 3 races. Right. And when your winner of Kentucky Derby sits out the Preakness because, we don't feel like we have a good chance, that's bullshit. That is bullshit. Get out there and run the race.
It is, and I think they'll race just because if you do come up with a Triple Crown, the money you get for just mating rights to that horse is incredible.
Absurd. Okay, well, your horse has never ran well on the second race. You know
rights,
what?
I should say.
I don't care. In my opinion, if you win the Kentucky Derby, you should be forced to race the Preakness. That's part of what happens. If you win the Kentucky Derby, you're running the Preakness. You don't have a choice after that. Now, if you want to run the Belmont after that, that's fine. It's whatever. But you either do that or you move the Preakness back at least a week, if not more, so we don't have to listen to it. And I'm not for moving the Preakness just because. What's the point? That's the whole reason of why it's so hard to do. You got to make it difficult. You can't just put everybody in their prime every single time. It's difficult for a reason. And guess what?
Agreed.
A lot of these other horses that are running in the Preakness, we're running the Kentucky Derby, also running on 2 weeks. So that's the whole point of it. Get out there, get your horse ready, get ready to run, prepare your horse to run. If the horse can't run well in 2 weeks, then why are you even putting him in the Derby? Your whole goal should not just be the Derby; it should be the Triple Crown. But my rant's over on that.
Well, one other thing that I wanted to say about this race that I could not figure out is what the hell happened to Fierceness? He was supposed to finish first or second, no doubt, and then he finishes 15th. Where
completely obliterated. That's one of the lowest finishes for a favorited horse I can remember.
I can't remember a worse finish than that.
I can't.
Well, I mean, the only worst place you can finish is what, last or 16, right?
Well, it's pretty
Yes.
damn close to last. Yeah.
I know is what I'm saying. So you're basically last.
There's a favorite horse. That's not normally, you don't see them down that low. You do
No.
see them at least
I
in the
think
top
usually
5.
8th is about as bad as they finish.
Well, as with a bad finish of the Mavericks here tonight, losing 117 to 95.
Mhm.
Hey, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine.
On Oklahoma's floor.
Oklahoma, it's in OKC.
Luca
to see
won
how
of
this
8
first
from
game came out.
3. Luca won of 8 from 3 tonight.
Hey, there were, last I looked, it was 15 turnovers. You're not going to win.
It was not a pretty game by the Mavs.
It's not a pretty game.
I think Luca was very off from 3-land too.
Yeah.
That's
Wonder
what
if
I
that
said,
knee's still bothering him.
Yes, exactly. Hey, here you go. Round up the wagons. You got game 2. All you got to do is take one in Oklahoma, just one. And it's not like it's a far road trip to get to either.
Regardless, we cannot blow this freaking Stars game. They're 3-0. God, you can't lose this.
Well, again, now 21 to 16. But anyways, the last thing I want to talk about here in horse racing is that this year, because the Belmont Stakes is under construction, the running of the Belmont Stakes will actually happen out in Saratoga Springs. And we talked about this earlier during the break. And as you said, Jeff, it'll go from a 1.5 mile race to a 1.25 miles. Now, as Caleb, as you brought up, hey, does this bring an asterisk out to the winner here? Well, I think that it would if Mystic Dan actually runs and wins the Preakness. Then we have, and then we can bring that conversation absolutely in at that point. However, I kind of like that we'll get a little different view this year. We'll actually get to see Saratoga Springs on TV and get to see that and actually see the horses race there for that. But I mean, what can you do when the racetrack's getting renovated? You can't help that. They got to find somewhere else to run. And it's not like they went to some like ramshackle, like whatever little backwoods racetrack or something.
Very legit.
Yeah, it's not like they went to some like random Joe Schmo like place. Like, it's Saratoga Springs. It's a famous racetrack in its own right. So I think that'll be interesting to see on its own. But yeah, I don't think that conversation's gonna even matter unless Mr. Dan even runs in the Preakness. If he doesn't even run, there's no point to even. Hey, there is no asterisk at that point because they didn't even try, which to me is pathetic. Whatever. Get out there and run. Get out there and try it. Okay, you don't win, you don't win. Hey, it's better than not even trying at all. At least if you're out there racing, you have a chance. And it's worth in to me, the only person who is going to be probably there every year is Bob Baffert, but he can't race right now because of what he's done to his horses. So pretty much, if most of the time these guys are winning, it's the first time they've ever won the Kentucky Derby. At this point, it's the first time I've ever won. I'm going to push. I'm going to go for it. Let's go ahead and go for the Triple Crown, because when do you think you'll ever be there again? This may be your only chance. Why not go for it? Why are you gonna lay up? Don't lay up. Be 10 Cup. Go for it. But that's my 2 cents.
Right. Thankfully, they're not doing that like at Aqueduct or something like that, which is an old ass track in Queens, which actually is the 60s. And no one actually.
I think it's just because they're afraid to go to Queens. That's why.
Yeah. But the thing is, thankfully, no one, in that.
Where would a king find a
No one in that 5-year period in Queens at Aqueduct actually won the Triple Crown. So, and again, with the doubt around Mystic Dan, I think there's a really good chance that even if he doesn't race, I mean, even if even if he does race in the Preakness, I don't think there's a strong likelihood that he'll win if you have the trainers doubting this much whether or not he can compete. So,
Well, at the same time, if you don't race, you'll never know. And to me, I'd rather race and lose than not do it and never know if we had the chance.
true. And also,
That's-
too, just as an FYI, the 2025 Belmont Stakes will also be in Saratoga while Belmont is under construction. So,
God, how long does it take to redo it?
well, back in the day, it took like in the 60s, it took 5 years. So hopefully now it could only take a couple of years. I think
That's insane.
Belmont to get it fixed. But yeah, I think I don't know what they have to do, but apparently it takes a long time.
I don't know, but now it kind of makes me want to go watch a race over at Belmont. I mean, I've already said that was one of my bucket list sports things was to hit the Triple Crown in a single year. So
Mhm.
I don't know. By the time I go, then it'll all be renovated, and maybe it'll be pretty cool.
Hey,
I'm sure.
Go to
it's
Time to go.
Saratoga.
hell.
You can go to Saratoga.
or go to Saratoga. But he missed
Yeah, I could go Saratoga. I've driven past Saratoga. I'm in driving distance of it. I know I can make it to Saratoga in a day. I've done it once.
And as you said, it's
I
on the
stayed in
Vermont
Saratoga.
border.
We stayed in Saratoga when we were on our way up to Vermont. So, all right. Well, next week I'll have some EPL. I know everyone was like, "Hey, why doesn't he say anything about the English Premier League? He's got
I was
soccer."
wondering.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
wondering.
I mean, they got it. They got a good win this weekend, but we'll talk more next weekend when they actually go up against Man United. That'll be more of an exciting game this weekend, and they're still leading. So, Arsenal. But yeah, that's all I got.
Sounds like a
All
good
right.
top. Good gumbo.
Well, yep, we kept it a little more shorter and sweeter than we normally have. So, we'd like to thank everyone for joining us here this evening. We'll check you again here next week. And Gabe Culver for Jeff Amos. This is Chris Porter, and we'll see everyone next week on the next round. Cheers.
Ladies and gentlemen,